Hello and welcome to our discussion of Meghan Markle, but from a very different angle. I'm not interested in the gossip as much as what makes her a success or why she seemingly forever fails to make a success of her brand. And I'm coming from the angle of the personality, the prosperity personalities or brand personas that I'm working with. So hang on, because this is about to get interesting. So I want to take a look today at Meghan Markle as a case study for success, or perhaps as a failure for success. And this is not gossip. I'm not interested in either the Sussex Squad or the rather hilarious analysis of her personality for that matter, but I'm interested in her purely as success or failure, of success promised, of a luxury brand, of a perhaps global brand that had all the cards in her hand to make herself a major success. And it seems like failure after failure haunts her endeavors. See, I work with personality types or prosperity personalities. There are altogether 8, and we tend to have at least 2 of them that we are naturally particularly apt at creating wealth. And each one of us has these, and we can develop them. And once we are cognizant of what our prosperity personalities are, we can optimize on our unique strengths. There's a caveat, because each of the personality types has some pitfalls or blind spots. And there's nothing wrong with that, because it can make us aware of our potential failures and swiftly sidestep them. Well, what about Markle? Meghan Markle's primary personality types, as far as I can observe, that are the Maverick and the celebrity. And the celebrity, not like a Hollywood celebrity, but it's a type, a prosperity type that can make money out of being a role model for others. And that can take many different forms. One could even say Mother Teresa had a bit of the celebrity personality, because she was able to leverage her persona into a worldwide celebrity status. So I'm not talking just about Hollywood celebrities. And let me unpack what the Maverick and the celebrity are particularly apt at in making money. Before we go into that, I want to say some observation that many have made, that they say, well, of course, she becomes a laughingstock because she is a narcissist. Some even claim a sociopath, or at least has these traits that she exhibits in public and oftentimes in private, because the public often has the mask on, and then the mask slips and a much less appealing personality, let's say, emerges. But that itself should be a marker of more success, not a sign of less success, because there are studies out that show that many of the very successful people in the world, some of the most successful people, have narcissistic or even sociopathic traits, especially as heads of industry and heads of global empires and conglomerates. Why? Because they are literally able to walk over corpses and have very little empathy in their endeavor to reach the top. So that is not an explanation or an excuse for Meghan's failures. So let's go deeper. So by the way, if you would like to know your prosperity personality, there's a quiz in the description, and you can find out for free what your personal wealth creation strength is. Well, let's start with the Maverick. Meghan Markle certainly fits the Maverick. The Maverick likes to be outside the box. They don't like to fit in. Oftentimes they are the first, the trailblazers, those that break the rules and break conventions. Of course, one could say Meghan Markle was the first biracial divorcee from America who was accepted in the royal family, unlike Wallis Simpson. And she tried to break the royal mold. And all these could potentially be positive signs. She's also a maverick insofar as she defied all the rules, conventions, and moral boundaries that were imposed, for better or worse, on the conduct of a royal family member. Then she broke the box once again when she escaped the famous freedom flight to Canada. Freedom is a major element in the Mavericks' toolbox and their brand, and they can capitalize on this. Think only of Steve Jobs, who certainly was a maverick and made an amazing success of himself. Here comes the strengths as well as the downfall in how the maverick deals with other people. Steve Jobs was famous for being disliked by his team because he put demands on them that were outrageous and literally unreasonable. He didn't care if the team approved of him. He wanted to break new ground, be a trailblazer, do things no one else has done before, and either follow him or be left behind and axed. Well, we can say the same of Meghan Markle. She, of course, famously is alleged to have bullied, mistreated her staff, has made unreasonable demands even of the royal family, not just her staff, and in general is often considered a narcissist because she seems to have no empathy for others. But a benevolent maverick creates new trails, creates new paths for others to follow. So once he or she, the maverick, creates new paths outside the known territory, they open the way for others to follow. The less benevolent maverick, however, seems to berate and leave behind their team. They feel like they don't need them. They perhaps have an overgrown ego. Here comes the problem for Meghan Markle, because her public persona that she wants to cultivate is that of the humanitarian. And you can be a humanitarian and a maverick for sure, because you can break new ground in that area, of course. But she wants to come off as the compassionate person. But she has overplayed her maverick hand in wanting to have it done her way at the expense of everyone else. Not just her humanitarian image seems to be at odds with her flaming maverick tendencies, but also her desire to be a publicly liked persona in terms of merging things. So she wants to be someone like Gwyneth Paltrow or even Martha Stewart as of late. But she seems to have forgotten that to do so, you really have to bring the public support behind you. She has a small following amongst the Sussex squad that many would say are flying monkeys. If you know anything about the narcissist, they tend to gather a small group or a few individuals around them that do their bidding and that attack anyone who calls out their bad behavior. And they're called flying monkeys. So, but other than that, she has left behind the public. She is famously tone deaf to the public. So while she is a maverick and she could have capitalized on being someone completely outside the box, she consistently fell into the trap of the dark side of the maverick. Now, if she had been aware of that, perhaps she would have been able to counterbalance her maverick's shadow side, the dark side that doesn't care about others. See, that is a good thing for the maverick in general, to not care about others, because they need that as fuels to be able to break conventions. But it's a downside when you leave your supporters behind. Let's take a quick look at her celebrity persona. I'm not talking to her about her as a celebrity as far as Hollywood, her D-list appearance as a cable TV actress. No. She has a celebrity personality because the celebrity prosperity persona or personality likes to shine. They love the attention, and that's a good thing. Society needs people like that, role models that show us the potential for each of us, that show us something glamorous, something to aspire to, that lifts us all up. And the celebrity shines. They become the best once they're in the limelight, once they receive admiration. But as of late, with her newest Instagram and her rebranding, the as ever sounds very traditional. It goes both against her brand as a maverick and against her brand as a celebrity. Worse, she now says, anyone who knows me knows I like cooking, crafting, and gardening. It has been noted that she now tries to sell herself off as a trad wife. You may have heard of the trad wife trend, women who live a traditional life, away from the limelight, a home life, and they shine in the home, the arts of the home, they shine in the area of home and homemaking. Say they often have their husbands do the work and bring in the finances while they really do the work around the home, the trad wives. Interestingly, there are some celebrity trad wives that embrace the glamour, such as, you may have heard of a Parisian farm girl. So she's a trad wife, but she embraces Parisian chic. And even at home, she makes sure she has that little scarf and all the kind of finesse of a Parisienne. There's another one who lives alone up in the mountains in a cabin and with oftentimes deep snow. And she has these striking images of her red, wavy long hair, bright red, as she walks around in the snowy landscape. Some kind of fairy creatures from a Victorian novel almost. But she also embraces the trad wife lifestyle. So why does it fail with Meghan Markle? Because she, of course, wants to be the celebrity style, that is on all the Hollywood parties, the red carpet, and the one who claimed she was always against traditional women's roles. But now she wants us, the public, to embrace her as a glamorous version of the trad wife. Part of her early public persona was her constant insistence that in high school she wrote a letter to some, I think it was Dove company, asking that they would not just show women in the kitchen, because after all, women shouldn't be so stereotypically against women that they are in the kitchen. It has been shown that this was a class project initiated by her teacher, and the entire class wrote the letter. B, it has been shown that the company, which I believe was Dove or Palmolive, had already, prior to the letter, chosen to change their campaign. Yet, in her public persona, Meghan Markle pretended that this was her early achievement that set the stage for her later endeavors to go against the grain of traditional women's roles. See, that works with her Maverick, going against the grain, even though a little late, because I think that was the case in the 20s with the suffragettes and perhaps even in the 50s. But nonetheless, that's some Maverick aspect she tried to make herself famous for, that she goes against female traditional roles. Yet here we see her in the garden sitting amongst the bees and the jam and the crafting and the husband, she looking up to the husband, takes the camera on her, and then she takes the camera like she is a traditional wife. So this constant confusion, even more so than the word brand disaster, is where Meghan Markle fails. Yes, she rebranded herself several times, and then from American Riviera Orchard to as ever, it seems it's a constant disaster. But I would say the public would forgive her these blunders if the fakery wasn't exposed, because she pretends to be a maverick outside the box, but when it comes to making bucks, she is squarely inside the box and wants to make us believe she has turned into a trad wife, traditional wife in the garden, baking, cooking, crafting. And some have rightly said crafting she does, but not in the way she seems to imply. It's more like a crafty way of deceiving, let's say. These are the elements, love her, hate her, that seem to spell disaster for her brand. And I don't see a way out for her very soon. And it's not about trademarks and taking and copying Mallorca's town in Mallorca or other things that she constantly copies. Well, copying is also a problem for someone who brands herself as the maverick, because the maverick, the true maverick, doesn't copy. They invent, they bring new to the table. So it seems like Meghan Markle has the exterior of the maverick, being outside the box, but then has nothing inside to show that her outside of the box truly breaks ground. Instead, she says she's going to break ground, she's going to break the rules, but then there's nothing there that she really gives to us as she supposedly breaks new ground, and is a trailblazer. See, Steve Jobs was a maverick with many of the negative aspects of the maverick, but boy, there was something in that box, and many of us opened it as the iPhone revolutionized the world. So that we are still waiting for with Markle. She has not revolutionized the world. And her celebrity persona of being a role model for others equally has failed, because she wavers from wanting to be a royal to a Hollywood celebrity to a trad wife to a humanitarian, and all of it has no cohesion because there's nothing behind it. The maverick and the celebrity personality types stand out. They break new ground, as in the case of the maverick, or they become role models that others can aspire to. And these two types work very well together in a person, because they can break new ground and can be someone to be looked up to. But instead of standing out, Meghan Markle has been branded the Duchess of Beige. It seems even in her clothing style, she tries to be unique but fails. She's often considered in a disheveled, unpolished appearance. Her appearance often is unpolished, not in the royal way. Well, okay, she's not going to be a royal anymore. Perhaps she embraces the Montecito boho style. But that also often fails because she's often inappropriate, such as going to places that, like Africa, that would require to cover up a little bit, where she tries to be a Hollywood starlet, or her famous so-called humanitarian trip to Pacific Palisades and Altadena, the burnt houses. And she comes off as less than someone who stands out and lifts others up, and instead once again comes off as the Duchess of Beige, who has nothing to offer of value, and her only claim to prominence is her flaming self-importance and her ego, her overblown ego. She still doesn't realize that most people are interested in her only because of Harry and her association to the royal family. But she has burned her bridges. Again, a shadow side of the maverick, burning their bridges to those who have helped them. And we know, of course, one of the, would almost say, brand items of Meghan is to become markled. She cuts off those she no longer needs. First, they're love-bombed, as in the case of the royal family and Harry, and then once she extracts all she needs, she quickly markles them. Now, whether or not you approve of that is almost beside the point, because as we said, a lot of times captains of industry have that trait, that almost sociopathic trait that uses people. But with Meghan, it has become part of her brand, the Duchess of Beige, and to be markled. See, she has inadvertently shown the dark side of her personality types, and she's not able to cash in and show us the possible positive sides of her personality types, which again are the maverick and the celebrity. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Have you known someone who's a maverick, or perhaps you are one, or a celebrity. And take a look in the description box, because there you can find out for free your own prosperity personality.